Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, I'm GC Smith, and welcome to a World of Warcraft Legion Beta video. And today we're going to be discussing quite a few spoilers, so if you don't want any spoilers, consider this your one and only warning. I don't want to ruin the game for anyone who doesn't want it spoilt for them, so please leave the channel. Thank you very much for coming to watching, but I just don't want to ruin this experience for you. If, however, you are still here right now, that probably means you don't mind spoilers, so let's get straight into it. So, what kind of spoilers are we going to be discussing today? Well, actually, we're going to be discussing spoilers to do with the Legion pre-event known as the Broken Shore. Now, I understand this is an event that will also be doable post-launch for players who are entering the Legion era of content. It's kind of like the Tanaan Jungle starting experience, except chronologically it's set during the pre-event, just after the Legion have come to Azeroth and Khadgar has warned all our heroes, or our leaders, and we go off to fight them at the Broken Shore. Now, we don't know exactly what happens at the finale of the Broken Shore, but basically the way the Broken Shore works is that you turn up, you see all this fell magic, and whether you're Horde or Alliance, you start fighting up the beach, and basically the beginning is the same. You start fighting your way up the beach, helping some of the leaders that are already there. You destroy these laser towers that are fighting or trying to kill you, and then you kill a Legion boss. And you should hear the yelling of your particular boss, though in recent testing you've been able to hear the other faction's boss as well. You basically both fight demons. One of you fights a pit lord, and the other one fights a giant winged demon. I can't remember what they're called now, but you fight one of those depending on which faction you are. And then after you defeated the demon, you make your way off the beach and over the hill. And again, this is like a very similar start to both teams, and there you'll find your faction's leader, I guess, or main hero at this point, fighting there. So for Alliance, that's Varian Rin, who's fighting in front of a portal, trying to keep the demons back, and for the Horde, that's Sylvanas, and then you help close that portal and cleanse a town of demons, or demon-summoned town thing. During which you find out that Tyrion Fordring's here, so once you've done all that, you go and find him, and you find him being tortured or something by Gul'dan over a giant pit of lava, in which he summons a massive demon. Now, this demon is also a boss, subsequently, later in the Nighthold, but you fight him here, and the Alliance and Horde each take turns to fight him because you're on other sides of kind of like the pit or the pool of water where he is in. So you fight him, and he'll periodically go to the other side, and when he's at the other side, you fight a wave of demons, then he'll come back to you. And eventually he's defeated, and both factions pursue Gul'dan. The Alliance literally going after Gul'dan, and the Horde promising to hold the flank in the rise above them. Whether you're Horde or Alliance, you can kind of see the stuff going on with Gul'dan. So if you're Alliance, you're directly in front of it as Gul'dan summons wave after wave of demons, eventually summoning a wave of pretty much every demon lord or a high-ranking demon we have ever killed. That includes demons like Manaroth, Jaraxxus, Eredar Lord, or the Burning Legion, and a few others. And if you're Horde, you just fight wave after wave of demons, but you hear this kind of announcement, and at the end of all this, there's meant to be some sort of epic cinematic. Now, we don't know if there's one cinematic for both factions, but we do know that there's meant to be a huge cinematic thing there, so it could be one for both, or each faction could have its own unique cinematic, which would be awesome, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's just one cinematic for both. That was the way it was for Wrathgate, so maybe. But then again, both factions had their own set of cinematics for the first zone in Warlords of Draenor, so we could get something similar here. Obviously, though, they did have different zones to level through, but you get the idea. So, basically, the cinematic plays, and then you're all ported back to your main cities, at the docks or on the airship above the docks, and that's where you'll go get a quest to go back to your throne room and deal with the consequences there. For the Alliance, we find out that Varian Rin has been killed as a result of the last cinematic, or whatever happens in that, and his casket is there, and you have to give the letter that was being written in the Legion reveal cinematic, or trailer cinematic, the one where he's writing that letter on the Skyfire, and you hand that letter to Anduin. After which a roleplay session begins. Now, this is a major spoiler thing. It's so exciting. Basically, Anduin goes, how can I possibly lead the Alliance well? My king had far more experience than me, and yet my father, had far more experience than me, but he still failed. What can I do? And then apparently Velen says something, but the lines aren't showing up on the beta at the moment. To which Jaina responds, you do realise the Horde betrayed us, right? That we've got to deal with them? And suggesting that the Horde betrayed the Alliance in some way at the Broken Shore. The Velen then says something, and Anduin agrees, saying, look, yeah, I agree, vengeance shouldn't be our priority right now, we have to deal with the Legion. Note at this point that no one denies the Horde betraying the Alliance. In fact, in the Stormheim quest introduction, if you're the Alliance, Anduin basically asks you to keep an eye on the Horde because he doesn't really trust what they're up to. And if you come under attack, to fight them. And of course, Admiral Rogers and everyone involved there creates a situation in which they can attack the Horde, which leads to those really interesting opposite view scenarios. But I digress. After Anduin says that they won't seek revenge, we need to focus on the Legion, and Velen says other things, again, we still don't see anything Velen says. Jaina basically goes, he asks Jaina basically to, will you set Dalaran up as we discussed? And she went, yes, I'll use Dalaran to defend the Eastern Kingdoms, but I will not allow Horde into my city. Now, this is actually a change in the beta, because in the first alpha build, Jaina never actually said anything to do with the Eastern Kingdoms, I don't think, when I first read it. She basically just said, yeah, sure, but I don't trust the Horde, and we're never fighting among them, with them. And she does say that. She says, we'll never trust the Horde again, and I kind of get where she's coming from. If you're fighting together and they've been proven to retreat at a moment's notice, again, we don't know exactly what happened, because we don't see the cinematic, but I'm coming to the Horde side in a minute. We do know that it'd be unwise to ally with someone who will just flee and leave your flank exposed and leave you ready to die. So, anyway, huge spoilers from that, obviously, is the Alliance at least universally agree that the Horde betrayed them. No one corrects Jaina, no one says that she's wrong. In fact, what they say is better to wait to seek vengeance. We won't seek it now because the Legion are here, they're a bigger threat. Not that we will never seek vengeance. It says that only say vengeance will be delayed, which I think is pretty telling that if Anduin agrees that something must be done, and he's such a peacekeeper, that maybe the Horde actually did something. We also know that it's a possibility now that the data mined files of Dalaran over Karazhan and what was basically like an invisible Dalaran that you could see some of the objects in floating above Karazhan in early alpha might actually be part of the pre-event series. We know that there's got to be something in the pre-event in which Jaina gets deposed as leader of the Kirin Tor, because that's Khadgar's role when we actually get to Legion. So hopefully there's going to be a quest chain, whether it's Alliance only or Horde as well, in which the Horde are allowed back into Dalaran and Jaina is deposed. Yes, we know the Sun Reavers only officially get access to Dalaran during the Fire Mage artifact quest chain, but it's entirely possible that that's the Sun Reavers organization especially, and that the Horde already has access to Dalaran by that point, lore-wise. But again, we have to wait to see. But I think this is really exciting. I think it's really telling about everything Alliance side, and I think it's really exciting to see that maybe we get to see a transition of Dalaran from Northrend to Eastern Kingdoms above Karazhan, with some silly events going on there, hopefully amazing stuff going on as well, because there's a lot of the pre-event we definitely haven't seen yet. Yes, there's the invasion stuff going on, but we've not seen any quests for that yet, and yes, there is that Dreadlord thing in the cities that people probably all know about, but I'm imagining there's a lot more to the pre-event than that, and it definitely looks really exciting. It could be quite an extensive 2-month pre-event, especially with Demon Hunts going on, so hopefully we get to see more about that. Horde side, after the Broken Shore, which is also relevant, the Horde side ends with you appearing at the docks, and you go to your throne room, just like the Alliance did, where you find a severely injured, what's his name? The troll, vol'jin. Yeah, that's it. We find a seriously injured vol'jin sitting on his throne, waiting for Sylvanas, who summarily appears and basically says, well, the Alliance are going to seek vengeance and we need to be ready. For what, we don't know, but it's quite clear she believes that they've done something to anger the Alliance. Again, this is probably something from the opening cinematic, from the end cinematic of The Broken Shore. But it's nice to see that the Horde accept that maybe they've done something that could at least appear bad. We don't know. Anyway, the Alliance, the Horde, sorry, there's another cinematic here where something's discussed as they all chat, and at the end of that cinematic, which again is not in the beta, you appear outside Orgrimmar where a troll is wrapped up and bandaged and is being burnt. Now, we have no idea that this troll is in fact vol'jin. We are told it is, and we're told that Sylvanas is taking control of the Horde, but this wouldn't be the first time that someone suspected vol'jin dead and he's been doing other stuff. There are data mined sound files, which may be from the cinematic, in which vol'jin says he's going to go and seek a friend for help. And we know that I guess they suspect the Legion are watching them, and it gets revealed to us all when a demon hunter shows up and goes, hey, look, there are, demons watching this funeral, watch, and reveals the demons, which are mostly all guard, and you kill them all as well. And again, something similar like that is done on the Alliance side post their event as well. So I think this is a really interesting series of events, not least of which because they're actually trying to make Legion matter, and I'm really excited about this. For better or worse, Blizzard's storytelling has always tried to involve us in the hero or villain in some way. In Wrath of the Lich King, at least when we started having a focal point villain at the end of an expansion. Yes, I know we had Illidan at the end of Burning Crusade, but he was never intended to be the final boss. If you go back, it was always intended from right at the start that there would be the Sunwell Plateau raid. That raid was not cobbled together at the end of the expansion in any way. It was meant to be a surprise raid, and I'm so glad they did that. So we know that Illidan was never intended to be the final boss exactly, which is pretty cool, and kind of a shame as well for those of us who kind of figure him as an important last boss feature. But basically, if we consider that Wrath of the Lich King was the first expansion where the final boss was like obviously known as the Lich King, he tormented us, and we saw him the entire questing experience. We got to see him as a threat, as his soldiers and his servants tricked us in Grizzly Hills, where we help that troll, who then takes over Drak'Tharon Keep out of behest and kind of gives it all to the Scourge. And then we kind of follow up that storyline in Zoldrak, pretending to be his servant, so we can depose of him as well. Basically, we always see the Lich King and all this as a threat. We even get to the point where if you're in Howling Fjord Alliance side and you do one of these Spirit Walker quest things, you can get too close to the Lich King and he kills you, but doesn't take you yet. He says you're not strong enough. And it's quite clear from all of this that the Lich King's been trying to taunt you and tease you and get you strong enough to become his ultimate servants, as he intended in the final raid. And in Cataclysm, we again had some of this. Deathwing flew around all the zones, burning people. He appeared in quest chains where we tried to defeat him before the final raid, especially in the Twilight Highlands when you're helping Alex Straza come up with a plan to defeat him. And we kind of shown that he is this major threat. Miss Pandaria, for all of this, we've seen Garrosh as a bit of a threat, and we kind of deal with him in 6.1 or 5.1 or whatever patch it was. But we never really consider him last boss material, really. And then he is, but it's not quite the same. And then in Warlords of Draenor, there was no threat at all. Yeah, the Iron Horde came out and attacked us, but there were no major consequences. We went in, defeated them all, and suffered one loss, and that was the Alliance. Like, only the Alliance really lost anyone when they lost Murad. I played through the Horde experience, and I can't really remember losing anyone important. So I'm not certain, but there's basically no losses for what is a suicide mission, which is ridiculous. And how quickly we dismantled the entire Iron Horde thing is pretty lame. Like, we have one patch of Iron Horde, and then it's instantly Legion Horde already. So, like, there's not much of a threat there. And so it's so nice to see the Legion being seen as a threat. They're killing our champions. They're doing things like stopping Thrall from being... Well, they're doing things such as making people lose hope and give us their weapons. They're doing things like killing major lore heroes and defeating us and infiltrating us. And doing all these things that make them feel like a threat. And I really love the fact that Legion storytelling is... Hey, the Legion are a threat that you actually want to deal with. It's not like, hey, it's a raid instance and I've got a little bit of story that makes no sense. It's amazing, it's fantastic, and I really like the fact that Blizzard have stepped up their storytelling game again, back to be somewhere similar to Wrath of the Lich King. In fact, a lot of this feels like, in the same way that Warlords of Draenor was kind of Burning Crusade 2.0, this is very Wrath of the Lich King 2.0 in some regards. It has a pre-event that seems to be on a similar scope, if not bigger, in terms of pre-event, which is going to be amazing. And it has villains that kind of seem consequential. They seem to appear a lot. We have those class quest villains, those class campaign quest things. You've got Tichondrius in some. You've got the Dreadlord that was part of the mage stuff, where he kind of been like possessing that mage for a while, and we know there's some consequences there. The Death Knights, you get to raise your 4 horsemen, and I'm going... guaranteed that's going to show up at some point in the later storylines, because there is no way they're not updating the Garrison campaign, the Order Hall campaign missions as the expansion goes on. Basically, storytelling seems to be ramped up and be amazing. I also know for a fact that we do get to see some little bits and zones here and there in terms of referencing past expansions. We get to see the Blue Dragon flight again, what remains of them, because they're officially disbanded by Calic at some point. We get to see the parts of Druid lore and stuff like that. There's just so much going on in this that storytelling seems to be a lot more meaningful than it has been in Warlords of Draenor, and I'm so excited for that. Hopefully I'll get to show you guys some of this soon when I hopefully get beta access soon, but we'll have to wait and see. Fingers crossed for some of the giveaways or Blizzard giving me one in the future. So, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Please tell me what your opinions of the Legion storytelling is below. I really want to hear all your opinions. Hopefully, I know the video in the background wasn't really Legion. I don't have Legion Beta at the moment. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video nonetheless. Please tell me what you think. Let me know. I really want to know what you guys think of the storytelling and the expansion. And don't forget to like and share and subscribe to this video. Subscribing is more if you want to see more stuff. Don't feel like you're obligated to. Just watching this video has been highly appreciated. But obviously, if you want to see more content from me in the future, Legion Beta and other things like that, then please subscribe and I'll try and get you content in the future. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.